Uh, your pastor has said so much about me. You can all sit down. Your pastor has said so much about me. A lot of it is whitewash. I've been in this country for over 40 years, at least 40 years. I came in 1981. Went to college here in DC. And believe it or not, I've lived in the same area for the last 40 years. And the most important thing that I want everyone to understand is it's not by my doing or by my power. I've had wonderful family members, and I've had the grace of God upon me. And I pray that grace will not elude any one of you. Like I said, when I came here, I don't want to go to the history of how I got here, but I was fortunate enough to have given somebody a ride to the American Embassy. We lived in Ikoyi back then, although after we left Ikoyi, we moved to Okwebi. That was when my parents and Pastor Toyin's family were buildings away. I didn't know how when I was in Nigeria. But when I got here, my sisters told me, oh, Pastor Toyin, Pastor Tunde, and all of a sudden we became one big family. And I'm quite happy to have met both of them. And I thank you so much, Pastor Tunde, for giving me this opportunity. I seldomly go out to give speeches, or I don't think I've ever done it. I've only done it once at the Nigerian Embassy. You can say it was a disaster. But that being said, I'm glad to be here today. Yeah. And I went to school, started as an architect. I ended up finishing up as a construction management major, although I got my associate degree in architecture. And I had a professor then, Dr. Pearson. Dr. Pearson looked at me in one of the classes. He said, dude, what's your name, by the way? I said, Adedayo Sulekoiki. The guy said, there's a song called Day You. Then it was Harry Belafonte's song. And all of a sudden he said, no, we're not going to call you that name. We're going to call you Darryl. And ever since then, I took on that name. And out there in the industry, that's what everybody calls me. It's not a bad name. And when you tell the Americans to pronounce Olushola Sulekoiki Adedayo, it's like they always want to kill my name, so I just stuck to it. But I'm glad I did. Did my associate's, bachelor's, then went to school for master's at GW. And that was about the same time I started my business. At that point, I was working at the highway department as a project inspector / engineer. I didn't have any engineering degree in my background, but because of my management and experience or knowledge, they put me in charge of some projects. And quite a number of you have traveled down I-95 from 14th Street Bridge going to Virginia, Woodrow Wilson to American Legion Bridge. And a lot of you don't, I'm pretty sure none of you know how those roads were constructed, built, reconstructed, and all that. Believe it or not, I was out there for almost 5 years, repaving those roads. I was in charge of those projects. And I gained my experience dealing with Americans, grinding my fingers, my feet, back and forth, driving the yellow Virginia Highway Department truck, up and down, dealing with the police, everybody. But the most important thing that a lot of us, up till today, are scared about, especially those who don't have their papers, is that if we go out there and work and do something, somebody's going to come and harass us, ask us for our papers, or stop us. I want to tell you today that that is not true. That is not true. Like I said, I've been in this country for 40 years. I've never had anybody, not a police officer, not immigration, never, even been out there driving. And for people who know me, my average speed on the road is probably about 90 miles per hour. It's not a lie. I've been stopped several times. But the key is nobody's ever stopped me to say, where are my papers? Okay, just like every one of you, I came here as a student. I was out of status for a while, played the game just like everybody else. But at the end of the day, we got our papers and everything is fine. But the key is don't let anybody scare you. And for whatever it's worth, in America, there are two things that is very important. Number one, you have to have the grace of the Lord behind you. It's absolutely important. I'm not a churchy person, okay? If you ask me to quote verbs or sections of the Bible, maybe I'll do a couple, then I'll stop. And guess what? And I mean, she can tell you, she was my teacher, believers class, from New Wine Assembly. Okay? But the key is, at the end of the day, we all have to ask ourselves, what's the goal in life? What is the goal in life? We all left Nigeria and came here, most of us at least. Some people were born here, the lucky ones, but majority of us today, we came here in search of that golden, whatever you want to call it. Okay? But the key is, for what brought us here, we always have to keep in mind that, listen, like my mom told me once, I remember when I told her, I said, because you know how moms are, when after a while they don't see you, you're doing well, you're doing this, it's like, who's the lovely lady in your life? And the next thing is, what's your mentee was she? Remember where you're coming from also. We've all come here, we've left our parents, family, and everything behind in Nigeria. We are all here. But believe you me, this country is about the only, if not the best country for anybody to survive, to do business and survive. I don't want any one of you to be scared at all. There's really nothing. The limitation to your success in life in America is you. When the Almighty gives you the ability to go to sleep and wake up in the morning, and you wake up in the morning, you say your daily prayer, and you step outside your house. If you're going to work, whether it's Burger King or construction, or you're going to teach, or you're going to take care of some lady at which most ladies do now, take care of some people in some healthcare business. The key to your success is you. How are you going to handle yourself? Okay? Handling ourselves is the most important thing. You have to be out there and do your best. And one thing a lot of people don't realize is whether anybody's watching you or not, okay? If you do your best and you excel at whatever you're doing, believe you me, you're going to be noticed. And once you are noticed, the rest of it is history because they're going to rely on you. They're going to come after you. They want to know what you know, why you are successful, why you are hardworking. Okay? Your pastor said he's never seen me at a party. It's not that I don't love to go to parties. Trust me. When I was in school, we reigned and we dominated DC. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay? Because I remember when I got I think it was my second school fees, when they sent it to me, I went out and bought a Nissan 200SX. It was a fairly new one, and without any doubt, we did a lot of partying and we terrorized the town, okay? But I learned quickly that wasn't going to get me anywhere. Because at the end of the day, when you think about it, my parents were slaving in Nigeria. And back then, the exchange rate was about, I think, 80 cents to $1. The dollar was more powerful. Now, it's almost, if I remember, my sister was telling me yesterday, it's like about 700 naira to $1. That's ridiculous. Can you imagine somebody working in Nigeria making 2 million naira a year? Convert that into dollars. What can you do when you get here? And if your parents or friends, family members are able to put something together and send you money here, you better be damn sure you're going to put it to good use. Because if you don't, your conscience someday will come back and haunt you and say, listen, somebody slaved to help you, but you didn't take care of whatever they gave you. So at that point, I decided, although my group of friends, when I had a car, were just rich folks, which I'm pretty sure I didn't belong to. Although I was driving a nice car, they were driving better cars, but at least I can race down the road with them. But the key is I found out quickly that I did not belong. And finding out that I did not belong means I had to change course. And changing course was like making sure I got my degree, I did everything. And the other mistake we made back then was like the focus was, yes, we have to go back to Nigeria. Because Nigeria, when we left it, Nigeria was good. I mean, yeah, I was having fun here. The fun started in Lagos. I mean, if you live in Sulekoiki, you hang out with the rich folks and all that, you would think that was the end of the world. But at the end of the day, when you look around and you see that things are not as rosy as people paint it to be. So you have to choose what you want to become in life. Because at the same time, while we were enjoying all around, I had friends, mates, classmates. They were not doing as well in school. Not that I was a brilliant student. I was like your C plus B average student. But that did not matter. That shouldn't stop anybody. Even if you are an F student, it should not stop you, because we are not all cut from the same rope. Okay? So because everybody's individual intellect and ability is based on what God has given us. Because the God that created us, he created us all differently. So you have to ask yourself, what do I want to become in life? Okay? So if you start from there, one thing is you want to be successful. Yes. And the key is, what is success in life? The level of success varies a whole lot. Okay? For example, when you look at America today, the richest people in America, the so-called billionaires, they are not but probably about 100. But what's the population of America? Population of America is over 350 million today. And when you look around, who are the next people? You have the billionaires, 100, out of a population of 1 billion. That means, where's the rest of the people? They don't make 1% of America. Then you have the so-called millionaires. The percentage of millionaires in America is triple the number of billionaires. Okay? And the millionaires also, they are not any different from you and I. I'm glad to say I can count myself as one of them. Okay? But the key is, what does it mean to be a millionaire? Okay? What does it mean? Because money does not buy you happiness at all. Okay? You can have the biggest house on the block. You can have the best cars. Okay? But it doesn't mean you're happy. Which takes us to, how do you become a rich person? How do you get to be happy? Number one, you're happy by the people around you, your family members and all that. Because if you live in a household that you wake up in the morning, you and your wife, you don't see face to face. I mean, geez, for goodness sake, who are you going to go out there to and talk to? Okay, because whatever you start with from leaving your house is what you're going to take to somebody else. Then the next thing is, where are you going when you leave home? You're going to work, you're working for somebody, or you're going to do your own business. But I can tell you, owning your own business is probably the most prevalent, the best thing in America that anybody can do for themselves. Because there are several important things in America, okay? Number one, if you don't have anybody controlling when you wake up, when you show up for work, when you take vacation, or where you go, I mean, there's nothing that can beat that, okay? I can tell you today, I can see you guys were showing the picture of one of the buildings I did. That was over 10 years ago. Okay? Before I got to that position, I can safely tell you it was not easy. We went from doing bathrooms for family members, renovating basement and all that. But because of the knowledge I got from my education, that's what really propelled me. That's what gave me the inspiration to want to do it. And once I got started, I fell for it. I was in love with it. Construction is in my vein. I mean, if I wanted to be extremely rich, I would not have done what I'm doing now. There are so many other things I could have done. But the truth is, if you want to be happy, you want to be wealthy, and you want to control your own schedule, you have to do what you love. That's the number one thing. And doing what you love means you have to be the best at it. If you try to be the best at it, people will notice you and they will help you out. And being in this country, like I said, is probably one of the best places to be. The sky in America for doing business is your limit. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I can safely tell you everything I've achieved in America, I could not have achieved it in Nigeria in a million years. I had not been to Nigeria since 1997 until April this year. So I see some people saying, wow. It was not by choice. I just did not find anything to motivate me or to want to take me there. And number two, I had been extremely busy working here. Because working for yourself is not for the faint-hearted. No. No. Because if you want to work for yourself, you want to succeed in life, you have to be able to give it your all, your 100% attention. There's no ifs and buts about it. There is no shortcut. There is no shortcut whatsoever. I mean, I live in a house with my wife of how many years now? I'm not even going to go there. Because, like I said, I came here in 1981, June 3rd, 1981. And I met her September 18 at a party in D.C. And we've known each other since then. Although back in Nigeria, We lived about a block away. She lived at number 2 Club Road. I was at number 33 Lugard Avenue. We never knew each other, but we met here. But the key is she can tell you today, okay, if you ask her, where's your husband? There are only 2 places, office or site. But the question is, what site? There are so many sites because my construction activity is all over town. It's wherever I find the deal, I go after. But the good thing about America is there are no limitations as to what you can do. You all need to hold on to that. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If you're washing dishes, or you are a nurse, or you are a doctor, which I'm pretty sure you guys have seen examples all over town, and working for somebody, I talk to my kids. I have 3 kids, by the way, and I was lucky enough to have hosted their weddings 2 in 1 month. Okay? And I always tell them, and believe you me, none of them up till today has agreed to come and work with me. Not a single one of them. Although my first daughter worked with me for a year, and after that year, she made a lot of money, but she said, no, Dad, I can't continue like this. Okay? She thinks I push too hard. Okay? Which is true. That's how I'm built. But at the end of the day, I'm glad to say that I have seen it in them. Okay? Although they don't want to work for me, and they're going out there working for other people, but they are pushing the people they are working for. So if you guys want to get in business in America, like I said, number 1, there are no limits to what you can do. Number 2, some people will say, oh, I need my papers, I need this, I need that. I'm not going to mention names, but I can count from my friends, people that I know, at least 5 successful business people. Up till today, they do not have their papers. And they ride around in Mercedes-Benzes. Okay? In my business, we call it the gut balls. Okay? But this is not something they chose to do, but they were forced to do it. Okay? Because first of all, they came here. One of them worked with me. He came here, came to do he was a graduate medical student in Nigeria. And he came to me, he said, okay, I'm coming to do my exam. He tried the exam. They have, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the exams they take. They have like 2 or 3 exams they have to take before they can register, go to residency and all that. Yeah. He flunked the first 2 times. He was broke and all that. And he came to me and said, look, he wanted to borrow money. I said, no. Homie, don't work like that. No. Because you have to be able to show me how you're going to pay it back before I can lend you money. And the best thing I could offer him at that time was to talk to one of my subcontractors. Then I was working for the highway department. I said, look, I have this friend. He's a doctor. And the guy looked like me. His name is Hubert. He said, it's one of those hillbillies. He said, dude, how can a doctor work in construction? And I said, listen, he just wants to make money. Okay? The guy was, I'm pretty sure some of you have seen the milling machines when they take old asphalt out of the road before they put the new one. The guy was carrying shovel and trailing behind, just cleaning and all that. He did that for like 3 months. Everybody else in his group, all the laborers were getting paid back then, I think was about $12. Because of me, this guy was getting paid $17 an hour. He was very happy, grateful. He made the money, he worked, he would go, because then we were working at night. We'd go at night, we'd come back in the morning. He was so tired, and he still had to go to school and study. After a while, He said, dude, I don't think I can continue. I said, yeah, of course I know that. You are not caught to do this. But the most important thing was, at that time, he was out of status. He didn't pass his exams. He couldn't extend his visa or anything. And we sat down, we talked. What do you do? Find something else to do. He said, okay. I said, okay. You've made some money. It was also my roommate. You've made money. You've done this. Then he started applying for his residency because fortunately he passed his exam the third time around. Working for his, applying for residency. He went ahead. He got into Howard University School of Medicine. He still didn't have his papers. He went through everything. He did 3 years of residency. He became an emergency physician. So luckily, he met his wife. What we thought was his wife. You know how guys are. Before they get their license, it was something completely different. But at the end of the day, through him, I met a bunch of other guys. But that's the group of people, the so-called doctors. Some people, it's like, yeah, we are the best, we are the biggest, we are the baddest, and all that stuff. But that does not make you a person. If you are a doctor or you are a lawyer or anything, does not make you a person. You're still working for somebody. At the end of the day, when we all get together and look around, and you see everybody, but if you are able to identify people that own their own businesses, those are the people that really deserve the respect. Because number one, when you own your own business, it takes a whole lot to have the commitment, the ability to be able to sustain one. But trust me, it's very, very easy to start. Because once you have the focus, determination, and the willingness to go out there and work, at the end of the day, that's all we're talking about. To go out there and work. Okay? And the work you're doing is the work that it could be all kinds of work. There's all types of work out there. Okay? But whatever it is that you're doing, you want to do it to serve people and let them appreciate what you're doing. It is absolutely important that whatever you're doing, you do it as best as you can. Okay? And especially in this country that whether you like it or not, although I say if you do it and you're best at it, they will admire you. Yes, they will. But at the end of the day, we're still minorities. Don't ever forget that. We are not just regular minorities. We are triple minorities. Okay? Because number one, you have the white Americans. They claim this is their country, blah, blah, blah. Then you have the black Americans. Oh, yes, you guys sold us from Africa. And those are the people that will look at you and say, yeah, you are still here taking our positions. Okay? And then you have the Hispanics. Their population has grown significantly. Black Americans are not anymore the number one minority. Now they're number two. So, where are the Nigerians? Where are the Africans? Okay? But guess what? When you are out there doing your own business, you have to be careful, okay? Because once you can determine what you want to do, please don't let anybody tell you otherwise, okay? Because there are very few things you have to focus on when you're starting out, which is number one, the kind of business you're doing. Number two, how you prepare yourself. What form of business are you going into? There are two major types of business two major ways that businesses can be set up. And that is as a limited liability company or as a corporation. there are several subsidiaries of a limited liability companies. So your pastor, who is also a lawyer, can also help you with that. Okay? And also as a corporation. The difference is as a small company, small business starting out, the limited liability company will probably be your best bet. Because that way, you can individually control what is happening and yet keep the liabilities away. But as a corporation, you'll be subject to double taxation, which is one of the biggest things people do not want to get into, start with a corporation. And once you start that and you go get your licenses or permission to do business, whatever it is that you're doing, even if you don't have papers. I remember during the last election, or I'm not sure if it was 2020 or the one, somebody was saying that a corporation was a person. In a way, it is true. Because when you set up a business, okay, you go and register a business, Pastor Tunde and Associates, okay, or the Goshen Parish, the Redeemed New Wine Assembly, or whatever it is, okay, they are companies being set up. They are standalone entities. And these entities, believe you me, they only need one sponsor. But the U.S. government regulation does not limit who that sponsor should be. It does not say whether you must have your residency permit, or you must be a citizen, or you must be have this visa. No. Anybody can set up a business. Once you register that business, and that's one thing that you guys need to know. Once you register that business can in turn, if you are able to manage and push it and be successful for at least 1 or 2 years, and you make money, you can show IRS that you're making money. Whether you like it or not, if you're showing IRS that you're making money, IRS is not going to call the immigration and say you don't have papers. It's none of your damn business. They are not. They want to collect that taxes from you. And that company, all you have to do, you can do it yourself or find a good lawyer, can turn around and file for you. I have done it with somebody that came here. Oh, yes, we're visiting from Nigeria, but I want to set up this company. I want to do this. I want to do that. I say, how the hell are you going to do it? Say, oh, yeah, but I understand I can start a business. I said, yeah, you can start a business. Yes, they did, and I helped them start a business. At the end of the day, the business was the one that came to file their temporary work permit to work in the same company. And that is something most people do not know. Even if it's just, that's another thing. Sorry to digress real quick. Nigerians as a whole, we are always the kind of people that, I want to say we are always number one, we are overachievers. Number two, we are full of ourselves. We don't believe in doing certain jobs, which is wrong. Okay? So when you start all these businesses, it doesn't mean you have to go and be a general contractor or be a builder or be a doctor, especially if you cannot afford the school fees to go to school, because you have so many people that are smart but cannot afford school fees. Okay? And at the same time, you have people that can afford the school fees, but the direction, they don't have their focus right. And they go after jobs that are already saturated. There's no need for that. I'm not sure if you guys are paying attention to what's going on in the last 5 years, for example. There's something called all these made here, made there, made here, people that go to individual people's homes to clean their houses. In Nigeria, we call them omodos. Okay? But Omodo in America is a lucrative business, whether you want to know it or not. And that is something Nigerians have missed out on. They would rather go and work with somebody that is already made it in life, that has a license to provide health care, taking care of old people or sick people and all that. They go there, spend 12 hours sleeping and all that crap. It's the same amount of work. But guess what? If 2, 3 of them get together, they can set up their own maid service, doing the same thing, making 3 times as much. I build houses, and I have people that I hire to come and clean for me. And I was fortunate enough to have several houses in DC that I used for Airbnb at one point in time. Okay, the lady that was introduced to me 4 years ago had just come from Brazil, whether you know it or not. 4 years ago, just came from Brazil. And my cleaner then, Glauzy, said, listen, Mr. Darryl, I don't think I can do it. I'm too busy. I don't like driving into DC, but I have this friend. Try her out. I said, okay. The lady came to me. I could barely hear what she was saying. The English was not polished or anything like that. I said, okay, fine. I gave her the opportunity. We started out. She was getting paid, I think it was about $120 per unit to clean. The cleaning is almost, let's say, at the worst 3 hours. So 3 into 120. That's about $40 an hour. Back then, 4 years ago, how many people can say they were making $40 an hour cleaning, taking care of old folks? And I can tell you today, this lady has about 4 vehicles, small, those electric vehicles with some made business written on it. And back then it was like $120 an hour. Now I pay about $190 per unit. I pay about $190 per unit. And sometimes she will have about 2 or 3 group of ladies, the same thing. They don't speak English, they don't do anything. And I found out one of them was a registered nurse, another one was a teacher in Brazil before coming here. And these people are very content and happy with what they're doing. But the key is they were happy, glad to be there doing the work and having a job. So what I need you all to understand is there's no limit in America as to what you can achieve. She was living in an apartment then 4 years ago. She has her own house now in Germantown. When she bought the house early this year, I think, I'm not sure how much she paid for it, but definitely was over $700,000. Okay, so if she could do it, and she's not the only one. My office is on Annapolis Road, and I've seen quite a few of them there. I mean, these are people, when I did the Floridian, for example, there was another lady, Teresa. Teresa was picking trash for Tompkins Builders back then. Teresa, the first cleaning job she got was to clean the Floridian. She's doing wonderfully well today. So for whatever it's worth, and whatever the problem is, we'll need to first leave the Nigerian factor back. Okay, because we left Nigeria to come here to be successful. So we need to understand that once, like they say, once you're in Rome, you do like the Romans. Forget about being in Nigeria. Forget it. You want to integrate into the society here. And once you're able to integrate, whatever you're doing, give it your best. Believe that there are no limitations. And once you can be, number one, hardworking, honest, truthful, and church-going, like your pastor would like you all to do, believe it or not, it's going to help you. It's going to keep you away from trouble. Because Nigerians, back in my days in DC, I'm sorry to say, I can tell you that for the first 10 years in this country, I probably went to a church once. But after I got to know that, yes, there's another side to life, everything changed. But today, I am glad, I'm happy, and I'm not saying I'm where I want to be, but I'm damn close to where I want to be. If I leave this country today, I'm not going to say I regret being here. I'm happy. And I thank you all for giving me this opportunity. Okay. So I can take a couple of questions if you guys have any.
Thank you, sir. So if anyone has any question, feel free to ask a question. Amen. In line of, any that you want to ask him. If you don't want to ask, you want to pass the questions to me or to Pastor Shegun, please do that. Let's do that quick. Amen.
No, don't be shy. I mean, just ask me whatever questions you have, please. Okay? Go ahead. You have a gentleman back there. There's one on the side.
Praise the Lord. Thank you, sir, for opening our eye to see something that we don't know. Because what you don't know is bigger than you. Yeah. And now that our pastor have taken next step to start opening our eye is a good thing. The question is that it mentions a way to have cooperation and a limited cooperation. By a beginner who has no finance and trying to get into such area, and because of this setback on finance, can he be able to still meet the requirement of the one that is not going to be so much in trouble? Because it's a limited and cooperation, they find it two-way. Which one is going to be better for such intent? Thank you.
When it comes to finance and setting up a corporation, whether it's limited liability or C Corp, it's probably going to cost you in the state of Maryland probably it's probably going to be less than $50 if I'm not mistaken. Okay, but the key is what business do you want to get into? What do you want to do? That's what's going to determine your level of the funds that you're going to require. And like I said, if you want to do something that you do on a normal basis that you are good at, your level of the requirement is going to be minimal. For example, if you for example, let's say you work in how can I say it? You work in a restaurant, okay? You are a server or dishwasher or something, and you are very good. Number one thing is, once you've been identified by your employers there that you are very good, you are going to be rewarded for your position. Because I can't remember you being the best a boss boy in a restaurant and you say you're leaving today, they will not pay attention to you. They'll probably say, don't go, why are you going, and all that, and they will offer you incentives to stay. From that, if you have ideas, you can present it to your employer at that point, and they might be able to help you out and fund you in whatever you want to do. But one thing that I have not mentioned, okay, that during my time, people were doing that was wrong. Okay? I'll be honest with you, a lot of people did it. It's getting involved in all kinds of fraud, credit card, and all this and that. Okay? But in America, your credit follows you. Okay? If you're making $20,000 a year and you're spending $100,000, that's not going to last. Okay? If you have a credit limit on your credit card of, say, 5,000, and you are carrying a credit of 4,900, it's not going to last, because number one, what you're going to find out is those credit cards, they have interest rate of about 20-24% annually. So that means if you carry a credit of 4,000 or let's say $1,000 every month, and you're carrying 20, and the card has a 24% interest rate on it, okay, that means you're paying almost 12 into 24, that's 2% every month. So you can imagine 2% every month. It's going to keep doubling up like that. By the time you get to the end of the year, on $1,000, you find out your total interest is almost about $400. And yet you're not making enough money to even catch up with the payment. So you want to make sure your credit is clean. Cut your coat according to yourselves. So once you do that, the rest is history. Okay? Even if you don't have the money, you are going into a decent business. There's something they call a pro forma. Okay? Pro forma is like writing a business plan. If you write a business plan and give it to a banker, a lender, even a friend that is a little bit wealthier than you, they will look at it. If that plan shows that you're going to make money, they will be stupid not to invest in you. Because the whole idea is for everybody not, if you go out as an individual to do business, okay, yes, you're smart, you're hardworking, you're all that. Yes, you make money, but the people that make the most money use other people's services. Okay? They use other people's services. Like the people I said own their own health businesses and all that stuff. They will hire a bunch of people to go out and be taking care of people. They make a percentage of whatever those people are getting paid. So anybody that you present a business plan to, and they see that this is a successful business plan, this is something that will make money, they're going to get a commission from it. And they will lend you the money. It's not going to be easy, but you have to be able to put together that plan. Okay?
Now, can we have the questions so that we can read, Pastor Shegun? So that because some of the questions may be duplicated. Yes. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Praise the Lord, sir. This is a very wonderful opportunity to have a word of experience in front of us today. And actually, I have a lot of questions, but I will give you the questions, sir.
Okay.
And because I am a PhD student,
okay,
and one of my my dissertation that I'm writing now is on sustainability strategy for small and medium-scale enterprises. And we realize that in the United States, 50% of SMEs go out of business within the first 5 years. So I will leave that with you, then I will give you the question, sir.
Okay.
How can we sustain that business with it, that will be modern? Or how did you even do it? I have some questions there. I'll give it to you, sir.
Okay. All right. If I can just shed some quick light into that. It's very true that most businesses, especially within the first 5 years, do not succeed. That is very true. More than likely, if I'm not sure, but there's a statistics that says about 70% of businesses do not survive the first 5 years. But the key to the survivability is not because people do not plan well or people do not do their homework. It's because of people's inability to adapt to the environment. Because, for example, you look at the economy today, President Biden's poll record is in the pit, 30-something and so. But guess what? The economy is doing fantastically well. In the last 60 years or 100 years, as of last Friday, America has had the lowest unemployment. Anybody that wants a job can have a job today. Only the lazy ones cannot have a job today. If anybody wants a job today, they will have the job. And if you are good at what you're doing, if you get an opportunity to sit before an employer to say you want this job and tell them this is how much you want, more than likely, in today's market, they will meet you at your point of need and give you whatever you want. So people that fail, they fail because, number one, their business plan is not something they can adapt to. They can adapt it to the changing economy. Because at the end of the day, most businesses are there, especially service business, they're there to serve people. I mean, just imagine 2020, for example. We all know what happened there. It was COVID. So during COVID, if you say you have a restaurant business and you're just opening up, how the hell do you expect to survive? Who's going to come? If you did not have a plan B, definitely your business is going to collapse. But you had some people back then that had a plan B, maybe by just sheer luck, I don't know, but they just directed their focus to something else. They started providing free lunches to people. And the free lunches to people they were providing is not because they wanted to do it, it's because they were forced to do it. And lucky enough, the government came back and said, okay, fine, you don't have a job, you do this, you do that, they're going to give you money. And those people, believe it or not, they made money. Not a lot of people know that. Because the government went ahead and compensated them. All right?
Okay, so you get this to you. What is the best way to fund a business at the start? The startup. This second one, you don't. Is it, how do you evade taxes to save money? You don't evade taxes to save money. That is crime. Because how to get. Actually, the first question is like how to.
All right. Number one, let me take the tax evasion. That's why I said you have to leave the Nigerian factor behind. Okay. That's the Nigerian factor. It's part of the Nigerian factor. You have to leave that behind. Number two, raising money. Raising money can be done in different ways. The key is to be able to at least understand the business you are going into and then be able to identify the people that have like interest in what you're doing. Because if you go to people that understand what you're doing, those people will be able to extend you finances. But if you go to people that don't understand what you're doing, even though they may have surpluses or extras, they're not going to look at you. Okay? But if you have good credit and a solid business plan and somebody with like minds, you are more than likely going to get some help.
What is the best way to fund a startup? Okay, the second is, what kind of business can you do with little money and you have no qualification? And what are the steps to take in doing business?
Look, you have no qualifications. I just said something just now. You don't need qualification to go and be cleaning houses. You know that, right? If you get 2, 4, 5 people like you, don't have the same qualification, but they know how to clean houses, sweep, or do something like this, you have several businesses like that. And you get together, somebody's going to need your service. Okay? Something that I ran into recently that just started last year. Okay? In construction, a lot of people don't pay attention to it. When you're driving down the road, you see all these people holding the paddles, stop, go, and all that. Back then, we used to have people in our businesses that would do that. Last year, somebody went out and got together disabled, autism kids, people that have mental challenges, and trained them a little bit and gave them the paddle, the orange vest and all that, and said, listen, carry the walkie-talkie. If somebody says stop, you turn it around and say stop. If they say go, turn it around and say go. Okay? And this person started the business. This is a dropout guy from DC Cardozo High School. Now he has at least about 35 trucks and vans in DC. Okay? It doesn't take any brains to do that. You get a bunch of, I don't want to call them names, people that, challenge together and just give them a bit of training. Okay? It's just the same thing. Can you teach somebody how to clean a toilet? Okay? You go there, there's pee and everything on there. You get your chlorine, you spray it, you wipe it down. It looks good for the next person. Isn't that a good job? And people get paid for it. And they get paid handsomely. So, and if you can do that every day, day in, day out, and you're getting $100 a day, $300 a day, times 5 days a week, what is that? That's enough to keep anybody above poverty level. One more.
So how do you start real estate business? And where do you get funding from? I guess we'll be hearing about the funding. So how do you start real estate business?
Starting a real estate business is not for everybody. I'm sorry to say. That's a capital-intensive business. Okay? You have a bunch of people running around saying, we're going to do real estate, we're doing this, we're doing that. If you don't have the credit, you can forget it. That's number one, because you have to get a loan from a bank. Number two, you have to get a license. If you get a license, you want to sell. First of all, let me back up real quick. Real estate is very big. Okay, it's very big. If you want to be a salesperson, you go and go to the class, get the license. If you get the license, you are good at it, the sky is the limit. Okay, because the commission goes from 1 point to 3 or 5% if you are the sole agent on a deal. And in today's market, an average house is about 400 and something thousand. And you make 3% of that, and you do one every month, you will still survive without any doubt. But starting it is, you have to be able to devote the time to get the license. But if you want to get into other parts of it, buying and selling, it's a completely different ball game. Because you have to have the money or somebody that has the finances to back you up. And then you can do it. And if you want to get into the construction, that's even a little more complicated. Okay? So you have to understand where the drive is coming from and what you are looking for.
This question I got last night. It said, in a highly regulated economy like US, what advice will you give immigrants starting new business on government regulations relating to taxation and financial disclosure and etc.?
That's something that will take me till tomorrow to answer. Because that's, believe you me, that is one aspect of business in America that if you can successfully get into, anybody that deals with the government will tell you, if you can successfully get into it, you will make your money faster than anybody doing it with business to business or with other individuals, because the government pays very, very well. But getting into it, there are so many regulations, just like everything else. You just have to read and understand it. Because the people that wrote the books did not write it for PhD candidates. They wrote it for individuals like you and I to understand, because they know the majority. Look around in the state of Maryland, Nigerians, all over America, we are the most educated race in America. Okay? Percentage-wise, okay, Nigerians in America are more educated than any race in America. So if you know that, and they wrote the books for their people, the regulations for their people, so what is it to us? We just have to read it and understand what the requirements are, and just stay in your lane. That's the key. Stay in your lane, and you understand what you're doing. You don't hang around the wrong people, and you do everything legally. The sky is your limit.
Let me ask you this, sir. From your experience, How have you been able to overcome obstacles this past 40, since you're doing your business?
You
Just borrowing all the millennials.
Like they say, oh, what they are, what they are going believe you me, it's for me personally, it hasn't been difficult, okay? Because I'm in the habit of planning 3-4 years ahead. Because if I'm doing a project today, okay, that project is secondary to what I need to do next year. Because I have guys on staff that have been working for me for the last 25 years. Those guys are more important to me than the people in my house. Although the people in my house enjoy the benefits of the money more than them, but they are more important to me. Because why? Anybody in America that you pay their salary, okay, that means once you pay their salary, you are providing food for their family, housing, and roof over their head, the health of their children and everything. Those people will protect your interest any day of the week and a Sunday. So if you have a business and you're trying to do a business, when you do the plan, the first thing is the people that are going to be working for me, how do I take care of them? If you can take care of them, you will be fine. And then the rest is history. Even if you are not able to make it, you'll be surprised. Some of them will step forward and say, boss, what can we do to help you? But planning and sustaining yourself is going to be in your ability to put yourself on your lane. Because once you start and say, this is what I want to do, if you're going, you're working, for example, you're working in an hospital and you're making all this money and all that. Your money is, you buy a house, your children is going to school and everything, and you always have savings. So if they come around and say, sorry, we are laying you off tomorrow, you just want to make sure the savings you have is enough to keep you at least 6 months to a year until you can find the next job. Nobody will know you were fired, okay? So you just have to plan. Just have to plan. I have a bad habit of going on my phone. I use Microsoft Notes. I keep a daily diary of everything and whatever I'm going to do in the next week and for my business the next year or two, because each project takes anywhere from 6 months to a year, sometimes longer. So before the first one gets started, I'm always planning. Once I know that the first one is ready to start, I'm always ready for the one after. So there's always something in the background. So by the time one finishes, the other one is ready to go. Although we may not make a lot of money, but at least we're able to sustain ourselves moving forward. Anyway, thank you so much. I got to run.
So put the hands together. And if you have any more questions, let's rest on our feet. Let's just stretch for the hand onto Mr. Sulekoiki. Let's just pray for him.